It is 11:10 p.m. 11:10 p.m. 4th of August 2026, and I figured I'd do this because it's quite a lot that I've been experiencing in the last couple of weeks, and I think that I would like to go back to one of the things that used to help me a lot, which is just like writing, journaling, right, sharing my thoughts. I've really missed creating in general because I haven't done that in a very long time. I'm struggling with this thing where I have to, for context, I started a business. I'm going to talk a bit about that as well. I started a new business and I kind of like spending all of my time and effort. Started that officially in June, like second week in June. I'm spending all of my time and effort on that, and I have gotten to a place where I've kind of put everything else on the side, everything that typically would make me excited or would make me happy. For example, making videos. I really enjoy the process of doing that. I've said this so many times on like my channel, this channel, the other one, but I even forgot I had a channel. It's crazy to me to think that I still have a channel that has like 14,000 subscribers, and like I have the Substack and all of that, because I just put everything aside, and I struggle to justify spending time on those things because they don't have a direct ROI, a direct returns. Like it's not immediately obvious what I would get in return for like spending time, making a video. Or like I have my camera here literally, right? I haven't used this thing in forever. It's just set up on my table on here, downstairs in my room. So I find it hard to justify, making videos or doing those little things that would make me happy. And it's interesting because obviously, like when you sacrifice or you remove all of those things that would naturally make you feel happy, and you're just like, I need to do this thing, I need to make it work. I enjoy parts of the business, like I like it, I like what I'm doing. Excuse me. I like the team that I'm working with as well. Give me a second, let me text. Okay. I like the team that I'm working with as well. But it just gets a lot because I'm just focused on it squarely. I'm doing that, and naturally I'd like to do other things like make videos and do this, do that, but I can't, or I feel like I can't, because I need to be locked in and I need to focus on the business. I'm making a video and thinking about angles and all of those things. It's just not going to work. Because it just doesn't make sense when I could be writing a cold email campaign, or like, figuring out how we're going to get the next client and all of that. So yeah, all of that to say, I figured I'd make this video just to like chat about a few things, and I think I want to try to do this more often. I'm not committing to anything, but I decided to make this video. I'll probably make a couple of these because they make me feel better. I think what I primarily want to share in this video is progress with what has been happening this year, really, very transparently, in terms of my thoughts, my fears, things that are going well, things that aren't going so well, which there's a ton of them, and lessons that I'm learning. I have my phone propped up on here with some of the lessons that I've learned here. So yeah, let's start off with the business, right? For the business, I launched a new business that I'm working on full time now. So I'm no longer at Sourcing Sprints. Previously, I was working at Sourcing Sprints. It's the same thing I was doing there, really. We just spun it out as a separate business that I'm leading now. And what we do is that we train Nigerian developers in AI automation and then connect them with remote jobs. We started in June, second week in June to be precise. And it's been an interesting journey so far. Because there's a lot that I'm learning, and it has forced me to come face to face with my real abilities, right? And the timeline that I had in my head of how fast I thought things would be going versus how fast they are actually going in real time. And it has been a lot of ups and downs, a lot more downs than ups, I would say, especially because I've been struggling a lot with my mind, with my, I would say, mental health, but that sounds a bit like, deep and everything, but really is that deep if I'm being very honest, right? I've been struggling a lot with it due to various reasons. I think one of the primary reasons why I've been struggling a lot in my mind is because I've realized in this past couple of months, it's August, so it's like the past 2 months. We've been running the business for like the past 2 months, or almost 2 months. And one thing I'm realizing is that I think my identity is highly attached to my achievement, right? And what I'm able to achieve, what I'm able to accomplish. We could go into like why that is, which I only have like a vague idea. I don't have a full idea, but I think one of the main reasons why is because like growing up, I was always like academically, that's where it started with. I was good academically, right? And I think that when you're good academically and you're young, people just kind of label you as a smart person, like the smart one, and you have those expectations, and you get that validation from being, top of your class or from doing very well and beating other people, and that is the identity that's attached. And then you transition from that to, in school, in secondary school, I was doing a lot of like business stuff. So that was the next phase of that. I was making good money back then, just selling shit and being like entrepreneurial. Then in university as well, I was kind of like by basic standards doing a lot better, I would say, than my peers. So there was always that attachment to like, okay, this is who I am the person that does this. And what I'm realizing now is that when that component is not present, when things are not going well, I struggle to, or let's just say when things are not going well, it directly affects everything really, or almost everything in my life, how I feel, my mental like health, my state of mind. Like it just affects everything because I don't know who I am. Like I don't know who I am. Sounds so like sounds so existential, but like I mean it is kind of existential if we're being honest. But I just feel very lost. I'm very useless, if you will, in states like that. And coming face to face with the business and starting this, it has been a huge, I would say, mirror facing me back, like me looking into the mirror. And I think one of the realities of starting the business and running it this way, because like I have had experience like over the past year before starting the business, like I ran the same thing inside of Sourcing Sprints, learned a bunch of things, but the model was quite different and the way we're approaching it is quite different. It's higher priced. People we're targeting has to like change. And one of the things I was going to say before I kind of like digressed is that when you're starting something new or you're doing something different, naturally when you're doing something that you haven't done before, there are a lot of learnings that you would need to absorb. There's a lot of things that you need to figure out and to learn naturally, and that makes sense logically, right? And for you to learn all of those things, it's like, how do you gain those learnings? The way you gain those learnings is by trying stuff and failing at it, and trying more stuff with the data that you acquired from the previous feelings that you had, and then going again and trying more stuff, and then just like repeating that loop over and over and over and over and over again, right? That is what learning is, right? That is how you move forward in anything. And I think that I had expectations, like huge expectations of like where my skill set was at and what I thought that I would be able to accomplish and the things that I thought that I would be able to do. But then starting off, we had a couple of things. I'm going to go like really deep into details here. So this is probably going to be like a 40-minute video because it's like I'm at 9 minutes already and I haven't gone too far. The first thing is the markets that we were targeting, the archetype that we were targeting before. So the archetype that we were targeting before was AI automation agencies, right? And prior to starting the business, I would say we had reached out to probably 6,000. There are about 6,000 of them, like AI agency owners, and we had signed at this point probably two to three dozen clients already, right? At that point, so things were going well, right? Client acquisition was going well. I learned how to hop on calls and how to like have calls with foreign clients, and close them, have them, work with us, all of that. But the problem with that particular niche is that the TAM isn't so big, right? The total addressable market isn't huge. There's not a lot of people that, I mean, AI is relatively new, right? There's not a lot of agency owners that are offering those services. And going into it, we struggled to find a lot more of those AI agency owners, because I mean there are just not that many, right? So the first month in June, starting in June, the first month was primarily focused on trying to find more AI agency owners, right? So we're doing a bunch of things, running cold email campaigns. I think one of the things I also did was I spent like 1.6 million on a coach. So I got a coach for like cold email because I really wanted to learn it in depth. So I got a coach. We worked for 6 weeks. Probably one of the best decisions I've made this year. Now I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to all of these things. I don't want this video to be super long, but I worked with the coach and learned a bunch of things. I have a member of my team, so I have two guys on the team as well. So it's myself and then two guys that are working with me at the moment. And him and I, one of my team members, who's like the go-to-market engineering guy. We did the training together, and basically we were learning cold email. We were learning how to properly structure our outbound system for client acquisition, and also how to find more AI agency owners. But we struggled to find a lot more AI agency owners. But we did get one client who was interested, and then we eventually signed him on beginning of July. So going into it, I thought that things would move a lot faster, but I just realized there were circumstances that I couldn't necessarily, I didn't have, which is something I'll get to. And I think it's probably the number one lesson that I want to share, is that I think what I'm realizing more often, or what I'm realizing recently, is that the difference or the gap between where you are and where you want to be really is just skill set. Like, a lot of it is skill set and knowledge. Right, there's two other things that Alex Hormozi talks about. It's like limiting your belief systems, right, and your character traits, which those two are actually very real. But I think I under indexed on how important skill sets and knowledge are in this journey of getting to where you want to be. And I'm realizing more often than not, I know I keep saying more often than not, I don't think that's proper English. I'm realizing now that a lot of the people that we admire, or that I admire, that are far ahead of me or that are ahead of me, I think I underestimated how much more skills they had, how much more knowledge they had in the different things that they've gone ahead to do, right? Because the difference really is just skill sets, and what you're doing at the end of the day is just trying to bridge that gap of skills, right, to be able to get to where you want to get to. Because thinking about it, if I started the business and I was great at client acquisition, which is the primary bottleneck that I've been facing since I started off, if I was extremely good at it, all I needed to do is run this. If I was good at crafting good offers that work, just tweak a couple buttons, figure out the offer, run whatever system that I'm going to do, and I'm going to get the results I'm going to get, right? But the reason that I haven't gotten the results that I want is because I don't have that skill set, or I don't have the knowledge, or I'm not as good in those areas as I would like to be, or that is needed of me to be, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was June. Then July was, okay, AI automation agencies were struggling to figure out other people, we're struggling to get more AI automation agencies. Can we try other niches? Right, let's try marketing agencies, let's try e-com brands, let's just try a bunch of things, right? So that was July. This is August now, and one thing I found really quickly, and then we just tested a bunch of things, tried a bunch of things, did this, did that, did that. We found it hard so far to make our messaging and our offer that we currently have resonate with people that are not AI agencies. And that is a problem, because AI agencies, the term is quite small. And if we're not able to get to other people, other types of agencies, I mean, we do have clients that we've worked with in the past in venture-backed startups, and we have an e-com brand, we have different types of people. But just trying to get the message to resonate cold with non-AI agency owners has been tough, because the offer is not as straightforward, it's not as direct, the pain is not there as much, right? It's not as painful of an offer, which is staffing somebody that can do AI stuff. So it's not directly something that they're waking up thinking about. It's not a problem that's painful enough, versus for AI automation agencies, where if they get more clients, they need to deliver, so they need to hire from us to deliver. So that was July. The entirety of July is trying to make other niches work, other types of businesses work, and it hasn't really worked. This past week I've had 3 calls. I've had 4 in July, actually ending July. I've had 4 or 5 calls with some of the clients that want to move forward. I had 3 of them have calls on candidate interviews on Monday, and waiting to hear back and just try to move deals forward. So I have like 4 or 5 deals in the pipeline right now. We'll see which ones move forward, which ones don't move forward. That's another nature of it. Some things you can't like necessarily get attached to. Somebody says they want to move forward, or you have a call and you're just waiting on that one person because like they could decide they don't want to move forward for whatever reason, right? So you kind of have to be able to like detach from that and keep pushing, keep moving. So yeah, that's how it has been. For August, I'm doing another experiment, something else that I think could potentially be an unlock for us. Since AI agencies has worked really well for us, I'm trying to experiment now with regular like dev agencies. And yesterday I spent 1.6 million on inboxes for a campaign that we want to run. I'm going to have to spend another, I don't know how much, $674 is in there. That's probably like another, I don't know, close to a million, I don't know. On next month, just keeping that running. And that's another bet that I'm making, is like theoretically I want to be able to expand. And I think one of the reasons we've not been able to test other niches is because we are like, I need to get results fast and I need to figure it out, and I have limited like inboxes and limited resources. I'm not patient enough to let things play out to really get the data that I need. So if something isn't working out quickly, I kind of like drop that and try another thing. And that was kind of like what July was. We got decent results, but most of the results we got were from the AI automation agency, right? Potentially going to sign like 1 or 2 clients this coming week, hopefully. So that has been the issue. So this month I want to kind of like broaden that, and so we can actually run proper experiments. I'm like, you know what, instead of keeping this money, let me just spend it and let us get the data that we need, and let's try dev agencies. Let's go full on, like send a couple thousand emails. With the capacity that I just got now, we should be able to send about 4,050 emails a day, which is like a lot of emails. So we should be able to get data back. And the reason I explained all of that and went through like the details of like things we're doing in the business and all of that is because just going back to what I was trying to say before, there are things that you just naturally need to learn, and the only way you're going to learn that, and the only way you're going to learn all these things, is by actually doing stuff and failing at it. And I've been doing a lot of failing, which is also kind of funny because it's like it's only 2 months, but if you understand that you have to go through that process of failing to collect learnings in your journey, but you also have the expectation of things moving at a particular pace, what you're basically doing is shooting yourself in the foot, because you have the expectations that things should move at this particular pace, but you're also in the process of learning things and picking up learnings and trying stuff and experimenting. It just doesn't work, because that's not the reality of it, right? You can't expect a particular result by a certain time when you don't have like the skill set. It is only right for you to command a particular result when you have the things that are required for you to get that result, which in this case would be the knowledge, the skill sets, right? And obviously the resources to make it work. But in this case, it's like I don't have that, There's a lot that I'm having to learn. I haven't done this before at this scale, in this method where we're charging 1,500, and the ticket size is much higher. Like, there's just a lot more that I haven't done that I need to learn. So yeah, I think that has been the root cause of my issues, in terms of like my state of mind, where it's like I have a certain expectation of where I should be, and just that's what I'm trying to work on, being comfortable with being in that journey and like learning and just being there. Just being there and going through the process, going through the ups, going through the downs, like that's where I've been. So yeah, I have a couple of lessons here, but I'm not sure I want to talk about that because this video is already like 20 minutes, and I do want to upload this video because I haven't uploaded in a while. So I'm just going to upload this. Maybe I'll make another video tomorrow talking through another of the lessons that I'm learning. But that's just kind of like an update of where I am, and I'm doing this because I want to bring a bit more joy into my day-to-day, into my life, because I enjoy doing this, and I've deprived myself of doing this for a very long time. and I don't think I've liked the result that it has gotten me. I am making progress. I'm making a ton of progress when I look out. Like 2 months ago, the things that I know now versus 2 months ago, like the difference is night and day. The learnings that I've had, the just like progress that we've made with the team in terms of like my skill sets, my knowledge, everything. And I guess like the last lesson I'm going to leave before I end this video is, I talked about how that the difference between where you are right now and where you want to be is like the skill sets and gaps. What I'm trying to do right now, or what I'm like constantly thinking about, is like, how do I bridge that gap as fast as possible? Thinking about how to bridge that gap can be detrimental, like I already mentioned, because you kind of have an expectation of where you want things to play out and when results should produce themselves. But what I'm really saying here is like, how do I understand that the reason why I don't have the results that I have is because I don't have the skill sets. If you're able to identify the actual skill sets and identify the actual knowledge, or what's the plural for knowledge? I don't know if that has a plural, but you're able to identify the things that you need to know and the skills that you need to have, you can kind of figure out ways to brute force or to close the gap and pick up those skill sets and pick up the knowledge faster than you usually would. And what I've been trying to do this year is do that exactly. I started off this year trying to make a decision of what I wanted to do next with my life, essentially. And I tried a bunch of stuff. I ran the mastermind, which the previous video on my channel is like a video of that. I charged like 300,000 for that for each person that came. But I also spent a lot of money. I lost like 1.2 million running the mastermind. But I needed to do it because I wanted to see, okay, let's try this. How do I figure out what I want to do next? Try a bunch of things, different things are on my mind. These are the different paths that are in front of me right now. I might want to do content, I might want to do community, I might want to do software, right? I might want to do a service business. Like, I need to figure out which one do I want to do. So what's the fastest way to bridge that gap in terms of like knowledge and skills? Like, just do them, right? So I did the mastermind, the community thing. I got the experience of it. I learned a lot from it as well. I think we did it really well. But I spent money, right, to collect that learning, to gain that learning from that. Then I did a software thing. I got 2 co-founders to work on it together. One was a developer, one of them was like more on like the operation side of things. And I had an idea. We started working on it, started talking to people, but quickly I kind of like got my learnings. I'm like, okay, I don't think I really want to do this longer term at the moment anyways. So shut that down. Then I did the content thing. I started on short form. Had a call. I invested in a call with Adeife. I've spoken about this before on IG, but like I paid for a call. It was like 100k to speak with her. So we had the call. She was like, okay, do short form. I did short form for a week. I got my learnings from there. I'm like, okay, I kind of like tasted this. And then what were the other things? The service business, which is what I've been doing for the past, however long. So kind of like doing all of those things and getting my learnings. Okay, figuring out what's getting data essentially, and I'm like, okay, which one do I want to do? Eventually I was able to make a decision. I'm going in this business path, like I'm going with the business that I'm currently running, right? So I made that decision and I did that, moved head on with that. The next thing was like, okay, for me to make this business work, I need client acquisition skills. One method has been working well for us. Cold email has been working very well for us in the past year. I need to do more of that, right? I need to get good at this skill. Who is there that can teach me this skill, instead of me trying a bunch of things and failing and like extending that time it takes me to pick up those skills? Who can I get to train me? And I found somebody who was very good at his Bolaji. Asked him how much he was charging. Initially it seemed like a lot. I initially paid for like a one-on-one call with him. It was like $100. We had the call, we spoke. I'm like, okay, this guy could potentially be helpful. Then I reached back out, can we do a 6-week thing? He's like, this is how much it's going to cost. I think it was like $1,200. I'm like, oh shit, there's no way I'm paying that much. Eventually I decided to do it, and the amount of learnings that we've had, we just like shrink that. I've been able to run our own campaigns, right, for ourselves. So that was another learning that I had to shrink. And now it's like, okay, I need to figure out what niche is going to work. I need to figure out what messaging is going to work. Instead of me using the limited amount of mailboxes that I have to send emails and like extend the amount of time it takes for me to learn, why don't I shrink it? I have some money, at the side, and I'm just going to spend that, get all these inboxes, test a bunch of campaigns and see what resonates, see what works, to try to close that learning gap as fast as possible. So that's one thing I'm currently working on. I also think about it from time to time, like, is all of this going to work? Is it going to be successful? Because I'm kind of like in a mode where I'm getting stuff, money, and spending it back, like just trying stuff, building. And I've kind of been in that mode for the past what, couple of years really. If I had just been keeping my money and living a more conservative and just conservative life, I would be far ahead of where I am right now financially. And I have a lot of friends that are, farther ahead, because that's, they don't do stupid shit with their money like like I do, right? But yeah, I'm hoping that it pays off, because I'm like learning a bunch and I'm looking for ways to shorten the learning curve as fast as possible. So yeah, those are some of the learnings. That's where I am right now. Currently just working on, the business, growing the business, learning, moving forward, and hopefully sharing some of it if I decide to post this video eventually and like do more of this. So that should be fun if I decide to do that. So again, like I said, I have a bunch of lessons on here. I will probably record another one and share just an update and the lessons that I'm learning, and hopefully it's somewhat helpful. Bye bye.